What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of La Banca Podcast in English. I'm your host, Mark, aka Marquinho, aka Eche Segovia. Alongside two of my co-hosts, Aurelio. What's going on, buddy?
Not much here. Ready to get the show going.
You look a little tired, bro.
I am tired.
It's all good, man. I know we all work long days of work right now, and then this heat isn't helping anything. Fidel, what's going on, buddy?
Man, it's been a long week, man, but it's good to be back. It's good to talk about soccer, and man, we're ready. Let's do this.
Yeah, for sure, man. Soccer is something that we all love, something that we all have, great deal of respect for, something that we like to talk about. Otherwise, we wouldn't have this podcast that we do right now, right?
That's right.
And the great thing about soccer is it's year round, and right now it's a great time for soccer, especially international soccer. Two great competitions going on. One in Europe and one in South America. But we're going to start off with the big one in Europe, Euro 2020. All the group matches have been played. We know who the 16 teams who moved on to the knockout stages are. Before we get to the matches, anybody that you think didn't make it that seemed like a little bit of an upset, Aurelio? Or did all the big dogs make it?
I think everybody that I expect to make it made it.
Fidel?
Oh, well, I don't know, man. Russia, I think to a certain extent should have been it.
Maybe.
And if you don't if you don't consider Russia like a top European team, that's okay, because some people consider Russia like they should be into like the Middle East stages or whatever. But then I don't know. You look at a few other teams that could have been out there. For categories, I think these are the best teams that are out there. But maybe Scotland should have made a better role just because of what they are. But that's it. Really, we're down to the top 16 teams of Europe, and
the nitty gritty. Yeah. I think from my personal belief, I think all the best teams made it. All the heavy hitters are there: Italy, Spain, Portugal, France, Germany, England. All the heavy hitters are there. So, with that being said, I mean, I'm looking at a very, very entertaining and interesting knockout stage. But first, before we get to knockout stage 2, let's talk about that group of death, man. That last day of group of death, where it was France, Portugal, and then Hungary, Germany. Hungary, who we thought was going to be the team that everybody was just going to go and beat, put goals in, and just dominate throughout the whole group stage, actually came out and showed out, man. Actually put a little bit of panic for both Portugal and Germany, because obviously for a moment there, Hungary was beating Germany, and with that result would leave Germany in 4th place, which means out. But we all know what happened. But a round of applause to Hungary, for not being that team to just lay down and just take it from the quote unquote big dogs. And it comes to show, for as much strength that France have, obviously the World Cup holders, Portugal, the current European champions, and Germany, who we all know Germany is always one of the top teams internationally in the world. For them not to be able to take out a team like Hungary, and it just kind of shows the level of playing field. It's kind of evening up a little bit in Europe.
France had the same trouble.
Yeah. They did. But going to the knockout rounds, man, I'm gonna go here in order of the matches that are gonna come, and then just predictions and what you think is gonna happen. Okay, guys. The first match that we're gonna have this Saturday at 11 a.m. Central Standard Time, because we're in Houston. Wales, led by Gareth Bale, against Denmark, who obviously we know what's going on with Denmark with Christian Eriksen, the horrific start that they had, but they bounced back and they're making a run. We're gonna see what happens. There's a lot of love for Denmark right now. Wales versus Denmark, man. What do you think happens for that first opening match? Fidel.
Well, I mean, it's a pretty even match. If you think about it, to a certain extent, Wales hasn't really shown up to be that much of a potential, and then Austria is the same thing. They barely qualify in there. So I see it pretty even. I don't see this being as an interesting match whatsoever, but I'm sure both teams are going to be some way cautious just because they know that they can't risk so much within each other. But I do see Denmark being the better team than Wales.
The
For sure.
Cinderella story keeps going. Aurelio,
I'm with Fidel on this one. I'm like, I think it's going to be a pretty even match. But I think I'll give the go ahead to Wales.
why do you say that? Because the better quality player, or
I just think individually, I think I think they do have better players, but at the end, it's not individually. I just think at the end, this is where this stage right here is pretty much where you need someone to show up. You need that individual player to do something different, and I
Right.
think this is where that's going to happen.
yeah, for as much as soccer is a team a team sport. Every once in a while, you see games where somewhere an individual takes over a game and and helps that team win, and salvage whatever because for whatever reason the rest of the team was stagnant. But yeah, man, I'm gonna have to agree with Aurelio on this one. I would love to see Denmark keep going with this story. Obviously, I think a lot of people are backing them because of the whole Christian Eriksen thing that happened early on. But regardless, it's a great story for them to get past that per se and to make it to the knockout stages. And it would be great to see them move on to the quarterfinals. But for me right now, if I'm gonna take Wales for the same, I think they have the better individual players. They have Gareth Bale, who I think is for Wales, he always shows up for Wales. And I think it's one of those games where you have a vintage Gareth Bale, and he might score a goal too in this one. The next match, Italy versus Austria. Obviously, I think we can all agree that Italy has been the best playing team in this Euros up to now. Austria, obviously, have strong individual players as well. Aurelia, I'm going to go with you first on this one. Who do you think wins on this one?
I think it's Italy. I think collectively they've been playing really, really good. So I don't see them stopping. So I would see them win easily.
For sure. Fidel?
Well, you got to say it. I mean, we've always thought as Italy as the defensive team, of that team that sits back and gets you on a counterattack or gets you like on a set piece ball, something like that. But this is a completely different Italy. I mean, they got so many young guys who have the speed, have the talent, have the control. So they're not really focusing on defense. I mean, they're very good defensively, but they're focusing on a counterattack. They're focusing on touch. They're focusing on so many things. Italy has the high hand on this one by far, and hopefully they win it. I mean, you got an Austria team that has been very defensively, but that's not going to do it all for them. You got to really score goals to win games. So Italy is looking pretty good right now. So I'm going for Italy, hopefully a 3-1.
Aurelia, do you want to say something?
No.
Okay. Yeah, man. Obviously, Italy has been the squad of the tournament right up to now. I honestly think this is going to be a big statement game for Italy to show everybody else that they mean business, and I think they're gonna pour the goals onto Austria. I think it's going to end up being 4-0 Italy. You talk about a very good defense. They've been a perfect defense because nobody's scored on them. So, and if they go 4-0 again, that means nobody else scored on them again. So we'll see. I think, yeah, it's one of those matches where I think Italy's going to come out and show off. So we'll see. Sunday's match, day 2 of knockout round. Netherlands versus Czech Republic. Fidel, I know in the Spanish show you talked about you had high praises for the Czech Republic. A very defensive team that can hit you back on the counterattack. Obviously, Netherlands is not a team that to just squander over either, because I mean they have great players as well. They're doing a really good. They're having a really good Euros as well. So a lot of people would kind of take the Netherlands just outright, but I mean, you think that there might be a little bit of a chance for Czech Republic here in this match?
I saw a very good Czech Republic that showed a lot of talent, showed a lot of possession, good offensive moves here and there. They high quality skill, but then again, you have a Holland team that has a huge counterattack, huge speed. Maybe even you can say some experience. So anybody can say it could go either way, because people see this as an even thing, because Netherlands hasn't really done very well in the last couple of years, even after the World Cup. But at the same thing, I think Holland has this. I think they're gonna overpower Czech Republic. Maybe a 2-0 game. And I say that because even though the Czechs can create so much, they just don't have the finishing touch there. So to that extent, I'm going with Holland, and we'll see how it goes. Hopefully, the pie stays at the top of this game, and we'll continue on.
Aurelio?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Holland as well. I'm like, I don't see them stepping down. I don't see them slowing down either. They had a great tournament. Great offense, great defense, great midfield. I don't see the Czech. I don't see it an easy game either, but I don't see them making it too difficult for the Netherlands.
Yeah, I have to agree. I mean, I think we're kind of overlooking the Czech Republic here a little bit, and I think if Netherlands end up doing that, I think they're going to have a hard time against them. So they best not overlook them. Look forward to the next one because they might end up losing this match, or having a very difficult time winning it. So I think Netherlands are going to win. I think it's going to be a closer score than what y'all say. I think it's going to be more of a 2-1 scoreline. I think Depay continue his outstanding play. I think he scores another goal in this one. But yeah, I'm taking Netherlands 2-1. The first of the big boy matchups. It comes Sunday at 2 p.m. on ABC. Belgium with Romelu Lukaku, Kevin De Bruyne against Portugal with Cristiano Ronaldo, Bernardo Silva, etc., etc., etc. Big names, big teams. Who wins? Aurelio.
Belgium.
Why?
Belgium. I'm like, you have players like Kevin De Bruyne, Eden Hazard coming off the bench.
And they're still dominating the way they are.
Yes. So I'm like, yes, I know it's not the best Eden Hazard we've seen, but it's still, I'm like, it's a very talented player that I'm like can make a difference if he chooses to, of course. So yeah, I just don't see them. To me, if they don't win this game, if Belgium doesn't win this game, that's gonna be bad.
Is that gonna be out for Roberto Martinez?
I think it should be.
I can see that. I mean,
I think them not being in the final of the Euros is going to cost him his job.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, because one could say this is the golden generation for Belgian football. Even though they haven't won anything golden yet, but this one could say this is the golden generation for Belgian football. But it's very interesting that you say. Your scoreline. I'm sorry. Before I go ahead.
I'll say 3-1.
3-1. Okay. It's very interesting. Before I get to you, Fidel. Belgium. You speak about Hazard and Kevin De Bruyne coming off the bench. Imagine how much talent they have when they play full 90 minutes, and then when they know for a fact they're only going to play 30, and they give all out for those 30 minutes. Man, that's a lot to handle, especially knowing you have two top tier players who are going to play for a limited amount of minutes because of injuries or fitness problems, whatever. But you give them 30 minutes, they can go all out and cause problems for any defense.
I'm like, now that you say that, I'm like, look at Kevin De Bruyne the other day. He came in at minute 60. He scored a goal and had an assist.
Yep, 30 minutes, 1 goal, 1 assist. Fidel, I'm gonna go to you. Portugal, Belgium. Does Cristiano Ronaldo keep his heroics going? And I think he's tied at the moment, or is he's tied, or he's 1 goal back of the all-time record for international goals. I have to look it up. I can't remember right now at this moment. But what a story it would be to knock out one of the favorites of the Euros, and then on top of that, break the record for international goals. He's ready for those type of storylines. He's made for those headlines. What do you think? Do you think he succeeds?
I think. Has Cristiano ever thanked his teammates for letting him be and break all his records? I mean, how more arrogant can you be, for real? Like, Cristiano, come on, please, man. Tell the world that you haven't done this all by yourself. Because a lot of times, maybe 80% of the times, all you have to do is just push the ball in. That's it, right? So you look at a Belgian team that's dying out, a Belgian team that has to rely on his midfielders to score, a Belgian team that sees a Lukaku who is great, but he's not in his prime anymore. Hazard can't even keep off the field because of injury. So you see a Belgian team that is struggling a lot, right? And then on the other hand, you see a very, very well defensively, and here's the biggest thing, a very good midfield of a Portuguese team whose every single ball goes to Cristiano Ronaldo. I mean, come on.
What Euros have you been watching?
Listen to this. If you switch Messi with Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi will have maybe 2,000 goals as of now, because every ball will go to Messi, and Messi wouldn't even have to work hard to earn a goal or make an assist. So what do I mean by this? Portugal's got this, bro. And I'm not a big Cristiano Ronaldo fan, but I think Cristiano is going to score, and I think they're going to win it. And just because they have a very solid defense and midfield, and up top, they don't need to do much. If they can create some fouls so that Cristiano can take some shots, if they can get some penalties so that Cristiano can score his 30th, 40th, or whatever goal as a penalty,
109th and 110th.
120th penalty goal, or whatever the case may be, they're going to do it because everything revolves around Cristiano Ronaldo, and this team worked ethically to make Cristiano Ronaldo score, and that's what it is. And Belgium has no option. I see Portugal 2-1. Let's go.
My question is, what year
Ronaldo 2-1 from the box?
What year Euros have you been watching from Belgium? Because you said Lukaku is not in his prime. I'm like, four goals in 3 games.
Look at who they score. Look at who they play, bro. Look at who they play.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, you can't blame the player for scoring against. Look, that there's a reason why Ronaldo is at the high level of goal scoring that he is internationally. Right? Because obviously, when anything you mention Ronaldo, you're gonna mention Messi, right? And Ronaldo, the reason why he's up there, I mean, he plays European teams like North Macedonia, man, and Lithuania,
7-0.
Teams like that. There's so many European team, things of that nature. But you can't blame him. He scores. He comes to the games. He scores.
You still got to get it in.
Portugal is still in this tournament just because they accept 4 third places.
Keep that in mind. Yeah. So I mean, I understand what you're saying, and the thing, and I agree with you, Aurelio. Belgium, I think Belgium's having a heck of a tournament. I think they're the second best team up to now behind Italy. And to be honest, I think Lukaku is motivated. He wants to. There's a lot of rumors about Lukaku moving on from Inter Milan to going back to Chelsea, maybe other places, Man City. Who knows? So this is Lukaku's time to shine. To get that big transfer wage, bill paid with whatever, and make some money on the side for that transfer. So we'll see. I honestly think that I have to go against you, Fidel. To be honest, I mean, I think Belgium. This is Belgium's time. This is Belgium's time. If they're gonna do something with this golden generation, it has to be this tournament. And with that being said, and with a motivated Lukaku, I think Kevin De Bruyne, Hazard coming off the bench fresh, going against tired Portuguese legs, going against a 38-year-old Pepe. I mean, to be honest, I think this is Belgium without any hesitation. I think it's going to be a 3-1 scoreline. And honestly, like I said, Portugal, if they play that 4-1 again, where everything is relying on Ronaldo pushing the ball in, it can work when it's working, it's working, right? But when it's not, and that midfield is being dominated by the other team, which Belgium have the players to capable to do that, and that means they shut off Ronaldo, and Ronaldo's not getting the passes. Ronaldo's inefficient. He's not there. He doesn't do anything else. There is, so at this moment, Cristiano Ronaldo, 36-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo. I don't want to say, prior versions of Ronaldo,
27-year-old or something like that. Yeah, of course.
But if the midfield gets dominated by the Netherlands and they cut off the passes to Ronaldo, you might as well cut off the head of the snake. Portugal have nothing else after this. So I think it's a very easy win for Belgium, 3-1. Which I think they should go on, but we'll see. Maybe Fidel will be laughing in our faces next week. So Monday Night Football, Croatia, Spain, another main event, man. This I'm telling you, these knockout rounds, man. Every game is pretty much a big game. Croatia, Spain. Obviously, we know Croatia. Luka Modric with that fantastic goal. The tres dedos, I think it was, at the end of the game against, I forgot who it was, to make it 3-2 to basically get them here. Spain 5-0, 2 own goals, no number 9 whatsoever to help them, but they made it somehow. So Fidel, we'll go with you first on this one, man. Spain, Croatia, 4 or 5 years ago, this would be a final.
Yeah. Definitely. You talk about the World Cup in 2014. That was it, bro.
Yeah.
But let me put it to you like this, bro. Um, you got a Croatian team that's gassing out. You got so much experience, but you have no more gas in the tank, man. They're so old.
Yeah.
They just can't keep up, right? That has no forwards whatsoever. It has to depend on its midfielders. It has to depend on luck. It has to depend on own goals. It has to depend on so many other factors, right? So where do we go from this? Well, it's pretty even all around. Croatia is going to come out to compete, play 2 for 2, because that's what Croatians believe to do. And that can either count in favor or against them. And then you have a very conservative Spaniard team who understands their position. Hey, we have a midfield that is learning, that had experience with Busquets, but needs experience like Pedri, right? And then you have a defense that is lacking names, right? The only one you hear in the defense is probably Jordi Alba, and that's it. Everybody else is brand new to the system. So you got so many different things going on here, right? But on paper, they're pretty much even. Just because each and every one of them has so many things, weaknesses and strength that can level out at the end of the day. I see a very tight game. I don't see one team blowing up the other one. I see a 1-0 in favor of Spain. And the only reason I say that is because I think Croatia is going to push their buttons and try to go forward so much, and they're going to leave their back line a little uncarefully taken care of. So I think Spain's going to take advantage of some mistakes, and it's going to take this one all the way.
Is that one goal going to be an own goal, or is it going to be a striker goal?
That's a good question. I believe it might even be the goalie putting it in again. It's look, Spain, let me put it in for you since you can't score.
Man. Aurelio, what do you think?
I think Croatia wins it.
Okay.
2-1. Speaking, I went back to 2014. I think Croatia would have been a fine or something like that. I wonder if Croatia still remembers who Mexico is.
Oh,
man! It's man. Obviously, I have a lot of love and affirmation for Spain. Croatians have always been a tough team. It's ever since the 90s, man. Ever since I remember seeing the 98 World Cup, the first World Cup that I can really remember all the way through, man, up to now, the Croatians have always been tough teams. Obviously they're making the World Cup final in 2018 was a big achievement for them as well. But man, Spain, just man, I don't know what's going on with Spain, honestly, with this number 9 position. Alvaro Marota has lost confidence. I'm not understanding why Gerardo Moreno, your guy from Villarreal, is not getting more of an opportunity. Mm-hmm. I'm not understanding why Ferran Torres is not getting an opportunity. He's the future, to be honest.
Exactly.
But regardless of the fact, Luis Enrique has his reasonings, and he's loyal to his guys. So
favoritism.
But yeah, that could be the case as well. I mean, or it could just be loyalty to his guys, like I said. But I'm gonna have to go with Aurelio here again. I guess we're gonna go 2-1 against Fidel. I'm gonna go Croatia, man, and I think it's gonna be a 2-0 scoreline.
Look, I understand that Spain is going through some
transitions,
but I don't think this tournament is meant to start your transition.
No.
I don't think any big tournament's meant to start your transition. I think he's going with what he thinks is the best physically, mentally on a player that he can put out there. He might not have the trust on some of these new guys. And also, I'm like, you start a lot of new players and they go south, they're gonna be going for the coach's head.
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to go, before we get to the next matchup, I'm going to go to the chat. Rabbit59, shout out to Luis Conejo. What's going on, bud? He says, good input. I'm sorry, but at the point, all balls are meant for Cristiano. I don't know what he's referring to, if he's referring to the game or referring to something else, but,
The Portuguese, what's it called? Portugal against Belgium game. That's what he was talking about.
No. Yeah. And Sama, what's up, Sama? Fidel is wrong on Spain, so we'll see. Like I said, I know both me and Aurelio pick Croatia.
It doesn't bother me. Sama doesn't know about soccer, so it doesn't bother me.
Sama doesn't know about soccer. We'll see, man. I mean, he needs to come up here and defend himself a little bit. What's up, Mario Costa? Shout out to him. Yo, La Banca Podcast are good guys. Appreciate the shout out, bro. and Sama says you're all wrong on Spain. I don't know. We'll say something. What are we wrong about? I don't know, because I mean, because like honestly, like I said, the thing about Spain right now is just that they have nobody to score. I mean, they have no score,
no
forwards. And like I said, and then the fact that he still is giving the opportunity to Morata over Moreno or even Torres, who, in my opinion, I would put Torres above him. He's young, but you know what? He has to grow someday, and why not right now? But yeah, moving on to the next matchup on that day on Monday Night Football, we got the defending World Cup champions France, who obviously won the Group of Death and Group F against Switzerland. Against our old buddy Shaka and I forget the other guy's name from Liverpool, but I think this is a pretty Shaqiri, forget his name, but I think we're kind of unanimous here. France is gonna beat Switzerland, so we can move on.
You talking about Shaqiri?
Yeah, Shaqiri. There you go. I think we're pretty much unanimous on this one that France is going to beat Switzerland. So can we move on to the next big matchup?
Definitely.
So the final two matches on Tuesday, on Fat Tuesday. Well, not Fat Tuesday, but Tuesday. Let's go with Sweden versus Ukraine first before we get to the big main appetizer. Sweden versus Ukraine. Alexander Iska, for those who don't know, plays for Real Sociedad. Fantastic striker. Lot of rumors about him going to a bigger club. Arsenal, being one of them, maybe. Hopefully, we'll see. I don't know. But yeah, man, they're doing really well. Sweden, obviously they had the big injury of Zlatan Ibrahimovic not being able to make it to the Euros because of his injury. Ukraine, another team from really out of nowhere, who gave the hardest game to the Netherlands. Was it Netherlands? Yeah, the Netherlands. That 3-2 just battle that they had. But Ukraine, one of the surprise teams in this knockout round. Sweden, Ukraine. Fidel, who do you think takes it?
Man, I don't know, bro. This is probably one of the most even games in the table when it comes to no favoritism on teams. You talk about Ukraine and Sweden, you don't hear about them. They're normally playing a German team. They're normally playing an Italian team, a French team, or something like that. And then you see one team above the other. So this is a good matchup. But again, we always got to see what they've done in the past, right? Sweden struggled. Ukraine had their struggles as well. So I don't know, man. I'm going to go with Ukraine on this one just because I think that they have a little edge on them when it comes to height and they can finish on set pieces. So let's go Ukraine. Let's go.
Hey, man, it'd be a very good showing for Ukraine if they make it to the quarterfinals, because
there's no Zlatan on the side of Sweden, so you got to go.
Yeah, but they got Isak. Aurelio, what about you?
Man, I guess you could call it probably one of the most even matches you can have out there. Just to make it a little different, I'm gonna go with Sweden 2-1.
Oh, 2-1 Sweden. Man, I mean, Fidel, I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. I think just today, me and Aurelio are going to team up against you today. But you might be a genius next week when this comes up, or you might just look like you don't know what the hell you're talking about.
It's an Arsenal duo, bro. What can you do?
They
don't know about winning, bro. What you gonna do?
Man, Ukraine, like I said, Ukraine has shown me a lot.
We win within our means. We don't have owners just to buy us championships.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, Ukraine has shown me a lot, man, during the group stage. That honestly, I've really enjoyed watching them play. But Sweden, man, I think they're poised to make a nice little run here. Obviously, if they make it out this knockout round, the next matchup is not going to look too friendly for them. But I'm gonna have to go with the Swedish here. I'm gonna go 2-0 Sweden. I think Isak is out here, trying to show what kind of number 9 he is, what kind of forward he is, and I think he's gonna do a very good job, and he's gonna increase his value. So that way, whoever buys him, supposedly Real Madrid is another team that's after him because since they can't afford Haaland or Mbappe, little man.
It's real talent.
The real talent right there. So we'll see. But here comes the main event. The filet mignon, the lobster, the lobster tails dipped in the gravy and on the butter or whatever.
That's right.
England versus Germany.
Damn.
Before I get to one of you guys, you know, we have a Germany team that is obviously is not the strongest Germany team that we've seen, but you know, these German teams, they're always hard to kill.
Okay.
An English team too, in my opinion, you can field two English teams and they can compete in these Euros. Honestly, with as much talent as they have. So with that being said, Aurelio, I'm going to go with you first on this one. Germany, England, who moves forward?
Germany 2-1.
Germany 2-1. Any reason behind it, or just because it's Germany?
I trust Lowe more than I do Southgate.
Southgate. Well, you know but that butt sniffing must be working. You know, that butt scratching or something. You know, there's something to it. There's something to it. Fidel.
Yes.
Hey man, England 2-1, bro. I just think the Germans can't stay consistent. They're very good though. If you ask me who should win the Euros, it should be Germany. It should. But what they've shown, even in the group stage, even though the group stage was the hardest, the group of death or whatever, I just think they should have overpowered. What they did against Portugal was amazing. But how many of those games are you gonna have? You know, they struggle against France. And then Hungary, they struggle again. So, you know, that mediocrity, that not being consistent, kind of lacks on me putting towards the Germans. You know, so I like the squad, but I think England is gonna overpower them.
Can I ask you something before I go with my decision? Manuel Neuer, man, he had a sorry game last game. And the way he's coming out of the goal, the way he's running out, he looks like a South American goalkeeper. Obviously, we know he's one of those goalkeepers that wants to go play with the ball. He wants to go, you know, nutmeg a player and things of that nature, whatever. But when do you think that's enough is enough?
I just think that he has too much favoritism, and that's one of the biggest issues with Germany. Like, you give too much favoritism to players, and then that's it. Like, everybody else loses their potential. If I was Sterling, I will say, you know what, I'm out indefinitely.
Well, let's say he's been out for this. He's not.
I know he's out. But what I'm saying is, any second goalie or third goalie be like, you know what, whatever. It's like there's no room of growth here if I'm not gonna have the same level of competition, or they're not gonna let me be fair to win my position. So I don't think Neuer is the best goalie for Germany. If you ask me, I really don't think so. I don't think he was the best goalie in the 2018 World Cup for Germany as well. So if you ask me, Germany really needs to think about this thing through. And I don't know if it's Joaquin Low or whatever it is, but they're hurting. They're hurting this net. They're hurting this goal. Because Germany should be more solid back there. And I think there's better players out there from Germany that could do a better job than Neuer. Really, I do.
Well, obviously, the second goalkeeper, me and Aurelio know him personally. You know, Bernard Leno.
You know, I don't think that's much of an upgrade either.
No. But I think he's somebody who will take it more seriously and hold it to a much more. Because, you know, like I said, Neuer's been the Germany #1 for over a decade already. You know, to be honest, the way he played that last game, he seemed to me like he was just out there fucking around. You know, excuse my language, but to be honest, you know, the way he was just playing out there, it just seemed like he was just out there, whatever. You know, and when you play these competitions, you can't take any team lightly. You know, and I think that's what he was doing against Hungary, and that's not professional, in my opinion. Before I give out my results, Sama says Germany beats them 3-0. Conejo says 2-0 Germany, so they're both agreeing with Aurelio. Man, Fidel,
I want to put something out there also.
Okay.
People don't know about soccer. I mean, it's just an opinion.
If Timo Werner starts, England's gonna win.
If Sterling starts, Germany is gonna win.
Yeah,
at least he scored.
But
at least he knows how to score.
Of course, yeah, I got you.
So this might be a surprise to y'all, but look, man, England is you know, for as much talent as they have, you know, for them to be underachieving, not underachieving, because obviously they made it to the next round of the stage, right? But they have so much talent, an abundant amount of talent, you know, and I don't know. I'm guessing it's Southgate or something, or just the tactics he uses, or just the way he picks his squad that is not clicking for whatever reason. But you know, sometimes talent can take you to another level. And I think this has to be the opportunity for Southgate to prove that with this selection. And if they lose to Germany somehow, I think Southgate is out. Honestly,
Yeah,
you're wasting the
so
prime
much
years
talent.
of too many players at this moment. To be being knocked out at the first round of the knockout stages in a major tournament.
It's a great generation of players that you just need the right coach. The right coach.
Yeah. I mean, and granted, they got to the semifinals of the World Cup with Southgate. It was a really great story, obviously, but for him to show out and have a crashing like this, if they do get knocked out by Germany, I think it's time for Southgate to get out, and I think it's time for somebody with a more attack minded, more finesse style of soccer to come into to better utilize the talents and skill levels that these players have, because they're playing like they're trying to be brutes out there. Like they're trying to play the typical physical English game, which is fine when those are the type of players you have. But when you have a Jack Grealish, when you have a Jordan Sancho, Saka, when you have a Mason Mount, Phil Foden, these players have skill level who can take players 1v1, take on anybody, any defenders, and make it happen. And for them to be struggling to score the way they are, it's just not right. But with all of that being said, I'm gonna go England. I'm gonna go England 2-1. Same as Fidel, unfortunately, but we'll see. We'll see what happens, because if England doesn't, like I said, if England doesn't move past this round, I expect the English Federation to fire Southgate. So
we got a comment over here from Samuel Campos. He says Ter Stegen has blown away his chances, unfortunately, and I agree with Fidel. I think Germany has played some of the best soccer in tournament. England is horrible coach and are not using the talent in the slightest way. So it's very true. I mean, I think if England really had the right coach that understood how to use that talent on the field, and maybe even teach them a different style other than the English long ball, tough, physical game, I think the English could actually be more capable of winning and playing better,
All right, guys. Well, before we get to the next tournament, the next big tournament is going on in the summer. We got to pay some bills. So, Fidel, go ahead, man.
That's right. If you guys need any type of work, whether it's concrete on a patio or a sidewalk, or whether it's a street or a foundation, or whether it's a driveway, any type of plans that you have to do with concrete, call our friends from Rock Creek Ready Mix, a solid foundations. You can contact Andy Sierra at 281-301-8313. Let them know the La Banca podcast sent you guys, and they'll obviously give you a discount. By the way, if you're looking for a job, or you have a friend who needs a job and they have a CDL driver license with 25 years over and 2 years experience, contact Andy Sierra. They will get them a job right away. 281-301-8313. Rock Creek Ready Mix, a solid foundation. And I just want to give a little detail. They have just gotten a certification and an award for one of the best concretes in the area from the city and the area of Houston, which is a very, very good thing to have as a business. So again, contact our friends from Rock Creek, Andy Sierra, 281-301-8313. And if you have a CDL license and you're over 25 years of age and you have over 2 years of experience, contact it. They need drivers. And if you know a friend who needs a job, they definitely get them in there and get them going. And we help out the community. Rock Creek Ready Mix is there for you. A solid foundation from Rock Creek Ready Mix. Let's go.
For sure, man. Shout out to those guys. Always appreciate the support. But there's another tournament on this side of the pond that's going on in South America, the Copa America. They're about to come to the close of their group stages. But before we get to all that, a little bit of a controversy, man. Fidel, obviously, I know you'll talk a little bit more about this than we will. Colombia, Brazil, what a game! Yeah. Brazil wins at the last minute off a corner kick from Neymar to Casemiro, heads it in, but without some controversy. Fidel, you want to touch on it?
Definitely. So in the previous years, the soccer's been around over 100 years. Anytime that the ball hit the referee, the ball will continue playing on. Meaning that if you as a player hit the ball and the ball hits the referee and you catch the ball and you score, it's a valid goal. And even though it seems so unfair, the motive there was that the referee is part of the game, regardless of it being a an interference or some way a distraction or whatever you might want to call it, it's part of the game. So 2 years ago, the rule came down that if the ball hits a referee and it goes to the opposite team, the ball needs to be stopped and a drop ball should be done. Also, it was said that if the ball hits a referee and the next touch is a touch to goal, then the ball's got to be stopped and it's got to be dropped and played as a fair play, right? Well, in this occasion, Colombia, as you know, was playing Brazil, and Colombia had the intensity. It was beating Brazil 1-0. Well, the ball gets played, and for some reason, some way, somehow, the referee ends up in the half moon. Now, for those of you who don't know a soccer field, the half moon is the area in front of the 18th box. In soccer, we have the 6th box and the 18th box. And on top of the 18th box in front, they do like a half moon circle. And that's where the referee was standing. So why was he there? We don't know. That's mistake number one. He should have never been there because, one, there's a lot of traffic, and two, that's an area of a lot of offense, right? The play goes on like this. The Brazilian player kicks the ball, hits the referee. The referee in that instance feels like he's guilty of getting hit with the ball. He reaches for his whistle, but notices at the same time that a Brazilian player receives the ball. Notice, the Brazilian player hits the ball, hits the referee, and a different Brazilian player gets the ball. It is not that the Brazilian player hits the ball and somebody else gets it and scores, or that the Brazilian player hits the ball and the opposite team gets the ball. In that occasion, he would have stopped the ball, right? He would have stopped playing. So the ball hits the referee. It goes to a different Brazilian player. As the referee is reaching out for his whistle to whistle the ball, he stops and rethinks the play. And as he sees a different Brazilian player gets the ball, the Brazilian player passes it to a player to the side who crosses it, and Roberto Firmino scores. At the moment that the ball hits the referee, the Colombian players react and stop. They see him reaching for his mouth with the whistle, and then they see him actually letting go of the whistle and reaching out and saying, "Play on," because he reacted to the play. So the Colombian players made two mistakes. One, they were taken away by the fact that the ball hit the referee and expected him to make a whistle and stop the play. And two, they didn't continue playing because they never heard the whistle. They stopped and shocked. So the goal was valid because the referee even went ahead and checked with the VAR, the VAR, the video assistant review, and the VAR told him it is valid. After that, the ball was placed in the middle of the field as a goal, and the Colombian players went in and argued with the referee for 7 minutes. Mind it, before those 7 minutes, 3 or 4 minutes were already gone through the VAR check. So where's the issue here? Well, the issue is that the Colombian players got distracted by the referee's call. The referee did the call and continued playing on because it was the right thing to do, but his reaction caused the Colombian players to react differently towards the attack. So it changed a lot of factors in the game. One, it cost the goal. Two, the Colombian players' intensity dropped when they were winning 1-0. And three, it gave a 10-minute stoppage time, which in the 99th minute, Brazil scored. So how much of a factor was this play towards the factor of the end of the game in that qualifying Copa America? Huge outcome.
It does play huge because, you know, and you asked why the Colombians were arguing for 7 minutes, because this puts them in a very vulnerable position, because if they would have ended up with a tie, they would have qualified for the knockout round in the Copa America. Unfortunately, because of this loss, they need some help. Peru, Venezuela play. Okay, Peru right now is on par with Colombia as far as points, but here's the thing about it. Because Peru beat Colombia, they're actually above them, even though the goal differential is a +2 for Colombia over Peru. But since Peru beat Colombia and they're head to head, they're actually above Colombia. So they need Peru to beat Venezuela. But if Venezuela somehow pulls the upset and they win, that gives them 5 points, which puts them above Colombia. Ecuador, who right now sit on 2 points, if they somehow beat Brazil, because Brazil's coasting, they don't really need to play their A team. They can play their B team to save them for the next round. If Ecuador beats Brazil, that puts them in 5 points. So in Group B, guess who's left out with 4 points because of a unfortunate call? Colombia. So that, I mean, you know, we always talk about mistakes by refs, or you know, or what about this and what happened with this and why wasn't this called, or why the VAR didn't see this, or you know, etc. At the end of the day, the reason they're even in this position, Colombia, is because of their play. You know, they've had a really sorry Copa America, to be honest, to be quite frank. They haven't played nowhere near the level that we expect the Colombian team to play, you know, which is an unfortunate thing. Obviously, we know they don't have their main player, James Rodriguez, on the squad. But you know, to say that it's all because of this one play, this is the reason why they might not qualify to the next round. I think that's a mistake. That's incorrect. You know, is it an unfortunate thing? Yeah, it's an unfortunate, but there's a lot of unfortunate events that happen in the world of sports, you know, that cause certain results to go certain ways. Aurelio, do you have an opinion about this?
Well, yeah, I'm like, if you're going to put effect, I'm like, just because of that, they're not going to qualify. Well, technically, it is true. I'm like, because of that, because of the official being poorly positioned, they might not qualify to the next round.
Yeah.
I'm like, at the end of the day, that's what it is. I'm like, now, if you want to go more in depth, I'm like, yeah, they played badly. Even though this game against Brazil, they played really, really good.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So they shouldn't have put themselves in that position. But then again, I'm like, it's bad luck, I guess.
Yeah.
I was talking with our colleague Josh Aguilar, who's our correspondent when it comes to referees, because he has he has over 15 years of experience. He mentioned to me the following. He said, listen, these things are happening, and of course, there are going to be accommodations towards this rule. So this can cost any team to make it to the World Cup, you know, and we don't want that to happen. So now that this has happened, it's going to get analyzed by FIFA, and eventually it's going to come down to where any ball, no matter the circumstances, if it hits a referee, it's going to be a stoppage ball, because this literally caused an interference in the game and a distraction to the players. So we're trying to make the game more fair. We're trying to make the game more equal. And the only right thing to do is for these things to happen so that we can learn from them and adjust the rules and make accommodations to the rules. Because as of right now, if the whistle wasn't done, the play must continue. And that's exactly what happened during this game. But to be fair, it should have been stopped.
Yeah, right? and let's not kid ourselves. I mean, I've seen games, whether it be league play, club games, or international games, where teams purposely use the referee as some kind of shield, or or make a pass using the referee in play or whatever to give themselves a better advantage or whatever, which is technically wrong. But but obviously they don't stop the play because because the referee tries to do his best diligence to move out the way or get out the way. But if you're still shielding somebody from a player, it's still kind of still kind of a not a really good play for the other team to be charged against, especially if they know that the referee's in the way. But let's have a recap of the group stage, the groups real quick. Group A, it's already known. Argentina, Paraguay, Chile, and Uruguay are gonna go on to the knockout round. Bolivia, unfortunately, didn't have no points, so they're already eliminated. So those 4 teams will move on to the knockout stages. Group B, like we mentioned before, right now the leaders is Brazil with 9 points out of 9. Colombia right now sitting at 4 points, with Peru, Ecuador, and Venezuela with 2 points each. So that last match day for that Group B is going to be very fascinating, and it's going to be very good. And then if somehow Colombia ends up out of it, it's going to be very dire. We're gonna have to come back to this and see what happens with that. But yeah, man. Moving on. Obviously, we know that these big tournaments are the highlight of the summer right now and things of that nature. But we also can't forget that a transfer window is open, and obviously there's not a lot of movements going on right now because so many players are international football right now. They're doing their things across, a lot of the Latin players, a lot of South American players, obviously across halfway across the world from their normal clubs. A lot of the European based players are so focused on the Euros, and especially those who have made it to the knockout round. They're not trying to deal with, hey, if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to go here. Am I going to get a raise? I'm not going to get a raise. Am I going to get an extension? Whatever. So they're focusing on that. So not too much movement has happened in the summer transfer window. A lot of rumors though. A lot of gossip.
Every year.
And Jacob makes a good point. What's up, Jacob? By the way, shout out to you. Don't want to buy a player who gets hurt. That's very true. That's very true. You might be in negotiations for a player for 50 million euros, and then he tears his ACL, and guess what? That player is not available anymore. So no, yeah, obviously, everybody's gonna do the due diligence. They're gonna do whatever deal they are gonna do at the proper time when it's needed. So with that being said, obviously the ones that have been confirmed right now, up to date right now, Memphis Depay, Netherlands. We spoke about him earlier. Has signed a dotted line. He's going to be a Barcelona player next season. Thoughts on that, Aurelio?
It's a player they were looking for since last year, so it doesn't surprise me. The only difference is they waited a year and they got him for free.
Yeah, that's smart business because eventually, with the financial deficit that they have right now, still over $1 billion, they need to find good players, but on the cheap that don't cost no transfer fee, and they need to shed a lot of fat off the team. Fidel, I just mentioned. I don't know if you heard. I just mentioned Memphis Depay. Obviously, I see you rocking the Netherlands kit, signing for Barcelona on a 3-year deal. What are your thoughts on Memphis Depay? Obviously, he's having a great Euro right now. Do you think he's going to have what impact do you think he has for Barcelona next season?
It's going to be good, bro. Look, you see certain players that come in and they show off this style of game and this and that. I think Memphis has what Barcelona needs. Not just an attacking player who could play forward or midfield, but he can also pass. He can also finish. That's what Barcelona needs. They need a spark, right? And a lot of people were talking about Dembele, this and that. Dembele wasn't a complete player when he got to Barcelona, right? And then you talk about Griezmann. Well, Griezmann is a true 9, right?
Of course he's not a complete player. Half his body is in the hospital.
But still, what I'm saying is Dembele was too young when he got to Barcelona. Like, he outshined 1 year, and everybody else thought that was the next big thing. Depay has been doing this for a couple of years or so. Depay has experience. And then you have Griezmann, right? Griezmann plays as a true 9. You need somebody on the other side. If Messi's on the one side, you need somebody on the other side who can cause chaos. And that's Depay. And if he's not going to score, he's going to pass to score. So that's really what Barcelona needs. And they haven't found that guy. They tried Philippe Coutinho. Couldn't do anything. They tried Dembele, couldn't do anything. I mean, you have the right guy here. And it's not a guy who's always going to be dependable on a counterattack. It's a guy who really has control, who really knows what to do with the ball. And if he doesn't have an option to score as a shot, he's going to give the right pass, or he's going to look for the right pass. At least take care of the ball. And that's what Barcelona needs. So I think it's a good signing. Good for him. And hopefully he gets more than 3 years after that.
Yeah, I mean,
hopefully he's better than what he did at Manchester United.
Right.
Yeah. I was just about to mention that. Obviously, for those who don't know Memphis Depay, or for those who do know, obviously we know about his big move to Manchester United that didn't go so well. He was a young, I believe at that time, 22-year-old who came over from PSV at that moment, and didn't really shine during that stint of Manchester United. But to be honest, nobody really shined during that stint of Manchester United under Louis van Gaal. Those Manchester United teams were kind of everywhere during that time period. So, but once he went to Lyon in France, he dominated. I mean, he had a really good showing out there in France. Last season, I believe 28 goals in 42 games. So that's not a bad showing, especially for somebody like of that caliber. To help Lyon, fight for Ligue 1 over there. I know last season Lyon had a really great season. I can't remember where they finished this past season, but I know the season prior they had a really good season. Another transfer that came out yesterday actually, and this one actually has some money involved. Achraf Hakimi, right back for Inter Milan, 70 million euros to PSG. a right back, 70 million. Obviously, last summer he was bought from Real Madrid for 40 million, and basically Inter flipped him for double, almost double. Obviously, we know Inter did it because for the financial, they need to balance their books, they need the money. Then they need as much money as they can possibly get, obviously. But PSG, man, PSG is going all out. I mean, they've already signed Donnarumma, Wijnaldum, and now Hakimi. This is Champions League. This is Champions League or nothing this season, don't you think, Aurelio?
Those other two were like on free transfer, weren't they?
Yeah, those were free, but their salaries are not. Their salaries are not.
But salaries don't count as much as when you're spending 50, 60, 70 million dollars per player plus salary. So
you're paying Donnarumma 12 mil a year. I think he's the top. I think he's number 2 behind De Gea as far as salary for a goalkeeper goes, and then Wijnaldum, you're paying him 3 times what Barcelona was going to pay him, and Barcelona was going to pay him 150. So that means you're paying him 40, almost half a mil a week salary. I don't know, man. So obviously you benefit from the fact that you don't have to pay a transfer fee. So I mean that's always good business for PSG, But this is all or nothing for PSG, don't you think? I mean, obviously, Mbappe's contract situation is that obviously he's under contract for this season, but then he could go on a free after that if they don't extend him. Neymar obviously is already extended, so he's committed to PSG. But I mean, if they're going to win Champions League, this is the year that has to happen, right?
It should. I'm like, well, you say that the past 2 or 3 years also, but they went out. They got a couple players. I'm like, they did lose a defender last year that went to Chelsea.
Thiago Silva.
Yeah, with Silva. So I'm like, it's just filling holes. It's a lot of money, but you also understand Inter was trying to get rid of or try to get as much as they can but what I've been reading, they haven't even finished paying Real Madrid for him.
Wow.
So I'm like,
so this is going to pay that out then.
So this is pretty much paying, making a little profit. Don't get me wrong, but because they were going to pay Real Madrid in installments, and they were already late on 3 of the installments.
Wow.
Yeah. The COVID situation has made the finances for soccer teams, a lot of soccer teams, especially those that pay in installments, a big hassle. But three confirmed signings. The last one, a little bit more local, a little bit more. We'll touch base on this one, not too much because a lot of people don't really know the player as far as for the English section. But JJ Macias, forward for Chivas, a Mexican forward for Chivas, has been linked or actually has been confirmed to go to Getafe. Quick thoughts on JJ Macias. Aurelio, I know you're a huge Chivas fan. I know you followed him. Obviously, he's a future star for Mexico. Hopefully, if he can be injury free. This move to Getafe, what do you think about it?
It's good for him. I'm like, it's something that was going to happen. It would probably happen last year if none of this COVID was around. But it was just a matter of time. Chivas had already told him that they weren't going to get in his way if something good came, and the offer was good, and it was something that was going to benefit him. They weren't going to get in his way. So I'm like, it's not surprising. Surprising maybe of the team that he's going to, but it's not surprising that he's going to Europe.
Fidel, any thoughts on Macias going to Getafe?
I mean, it's about time. Mexican teams need to really let these players go and get experience. I think that it's time for them to let them get out of the country and just go to explore Europe, even if it doesn't go well, because Americans, they're doing it and they're playing in great teams. If you think about right now, if you line up the players that are playing for the American national team in Europe, they're playing top-notch teams compared to the Mexican players up there. And a lot of it has to do with how much Mexican really controls these players, because they really want to sell them for an excessive amount of money or charge too much. And that prohibits them from actually getting the opportunity to get out there. So I'm glad this is happening. Hopefully the young adult gets some of the right mentorship. I hear he's going to one of the coaches who used to coach Pumas, my Pumas from Mexico, and actually saw him and saw the potential. And hopefully that brings a good vibe to him, because it's tough. Europe is tough, and if you don't have the right mentoring or the right support, whether it's the coaches or players, you're not going to succeed. So hopefully everything goes well for him and he succeeds. But this is what Mexico needs. They need to put players out there, and they need to put them in Europe as much as possible.
For sure. Guys, obviously we're coming to the end of the show a little bit longer than what we expected for the English show, but obviously because of Euros and everything that's going on there, we wanted to get a little bit more detailed about that topic, and obviously it's a fantastic time, a fantastic tournament, and we're looking for really great outcomes here of these upcoming days with these matches coming up. But before we go, man, I want to give a huge birthday shout out to one of the GOATs. Obviously, how much I love this player, Lionel Messi, turning 34 years old today. Just a round of applause for him. Obviously, one of the first players where I can really see his whole career through from start to end. I watched the very end of Maradona's career. Obviously being my age, I watched a little bit of of Ronaldo phenomenal, Brazilian Ronaldo. I watched his career, but Messi's career is really the first player where I can remember from start to hopefully, the finish line isn't too close soon here. Rumored he's going to resign for another 2 years at Barcelona, but we'll see. But yeah, shout out to him. Happy birthday to that guy. Also, another happy birthday to somebody a little bit more closer to the family. Our little nephew over there, Santiago Padilla.
Yeah.
One year old today, Santi, a future Barcelona player or future America player. We'll know. We'll see. Shout out to him, and little man, obviously, and his wife Sandra. Happy birthday to him. But guys, for sure. But guys, we appreciate the support always. Please, if you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up, a like, subscribe to the channel. And if you have other friends that love soccer as much as we do and as much as you do, obviously because you're here with us, link them to the channel, man. Tell them to subscribe, tell them to be active, man. We're here every Thursday as much as we can if work doesn't get in the way. But for sure, we love to interact with you guys. We love to talk and chat and all that good stuff. Shout out to Louis, shout out to Sama, shout out to Jacob for being on the chat tonight. I know y'all up late with us, so we appreciate that. But if anything else, guys, if you have anything else before we go, Aurelio, anything else?
No, we're good.
Fidel?
Hey, yo, like Mark said, give us a like, give us a subscribe, give us a share, and let your friends know we're going to be here every Thursday for the English version. Let's go.
Yeah, for sure, guys. But with that being said, man, we'll see you next week, and, thanks for the love.